Episode, 11?
I don't know. I have no clue.
Playoff pod number 3, that I know.
Yes.
Playoff pod number 3. We got a few more eliminated teams.
Mm-hmm.
We got 2 big matchups to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought we'd start with talking about the teams that were eliminated in the last round.
Okay.
We'll hit Knicks Cavs. Then we'll touch on the Cavs, what they can do in the future.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about Thunders first. Or we can skip it if it's irrelevant.
No, go ahead.
Okay, cool. All right, so obviously we're in the middle of a heated Western Conference Finals series. Knicks Cavs closed out a few days ago. And the first team that I want to talk about, jumping back a little bit, is the Timberwolves.
Okay.
I don't think we need to spend as much time on Timberwolves and Pistons because I want to get to the Thunder OKC, which is the meat of our pod.
Yeah.
But let's touch on it really quick. You got any thoughts on the Timberwolves and off-season?
Not
plans?
really. I mean, they don't have too much cap space. They were one of the bigger spenders.
Yeah, they are.
I think they were in the luxury tax just a little bit. I think they paid like $6 million or something like that.
So first apron?
Before the first apron, but above the tax.
Got it. Well, that's good from a team building perspective. At least.
Yeah, they were right under the tax. I mean, Tim Connolly did a great job with that. And he said that they're like pretty intent on re-signing Dosunmu, who's a free agent.
Yeah.
So they're going to spend whatever they have on that. I don't really think there's much left to do beyond that, unless we're talking about trades. But like from a just straight up free agency or whatever standpoint, I don't think there's much else there. They have the 28th pick from Detroit this year, a pick swap. I think that was the Jaden Ivey trade. And that's about it. So barring a trade, if they find a way to move off of Julius Randle or, I don't know, make some big splash, like the messaging from Tim Connolly was like, yeah, all options are on the table.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's basically just work with the pieces that you have because you're not getting much like free agency help or anything like that.
Yeah. I think that's probably the move. We still forget, and I know when we talk about young NBA players, it feels like they're always young.
Yeah.
But Ant's still 24. Like he
Yeah.
hasn't reached his prime yet, you know?
Yeah.
And I like that they're not like selling the farm in terms of like getting into the second apron and losing all they've lost most of their first round picks. But they're like using trades like the moves for DiVincenzo and Randall and things like that to try to, with the long-term perspective, until they can get guys like Dosunmu, you know? Guys like McDaniel start developing, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, obviously the sell the farm move would be to go for like Giannis or KD or something like that. I don't think that's what they should do.
Right.
But I do know that they've been linked to guys like that in the past, as recently as this offseason. So they are a team to watch out for, especially because, as you made a point, they are in the luxury tax, but they're nowhere close to the apron restrictions, you know? So.
Yeah. I mean, I think over time you just come to trust Tim Connolly because, like, you look at this on paper and it's like, I don't really see a path here. I don't really see how they can get better. But they've navigated out of a lot of tricky situations. I mean, you remember originally the idea was it was like Anthony Edwards was the young guy, then you had Cat and Gobert, and that was like the pairing. And they've managed to pivot out of that pretty seamlessly where, you know, they made the Western Conference Finals. Jaden McDaniels is appearing, emerging. You know, like, you think that they're all in, but they still find ways to work around the margins. And the Dosunmu trade was like a brilliant example of that. Where
wasn't it a bunch of second-round picks?
Yeah.
And then they re-signed Mike Conley after or something.
Yeah. They waived Mike Conley to, like, allow it to work, and then they managed to get him to get something like that. But it was, like, just working around the margins, and then they found a guy who's, like, a pretty viable backup point guard at least, for sure. So you just trust Tim Connolly that he'll manage to do stuff like that. I don't see them barring like a big move. I don't really know how they leap into like. They said their goal was to host a playoff series. I don't really know how they do that. But they're going to be a good team because they have Anthony Edwards and
internal development and things.
Yeah.
The only thing I really want to see from them, and I'm not worried about this because I think Tim Connolly is a good GM. They could trade pretty much anyone on their roster, but do not touch Ant or Jaden McDaniels. And I think he knows that.
Yeah.
And every other piece is like valuable and movable. But yeah, as long as those two don't go anywhere, like that to me is like the core of who the Timberwolves are.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
I haven't put together like what do I think a Giannis trade package would look like or whatever, but barring something like that, I'd have to imagine that's how it would be. So.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Before we move on, I'm gonna go grab the timer.
Oh sure. Yeah.
Because I think that's really helpful for us.
Sure. Yeah, I have my glasses on, but I can't see that. So it's just me. Welcome, guys, to Give and Go podcast. I run the show now. It's never been just me on camera. This is great. I didn't have any stand-up prepared, but I'd love to.
All right, I'm never leaving again. Oh my gosh. Okay. Let's do 4 minutes.
Okay.
And we'll jump over to the Pistons.
Okay.
So do you want to start?
Sure.
My notes.
Oh
yeah, go for it.
So the Pistons have a very bright look ahead. First of all, ding dong, the witch is dead with the Tobias Harris contract.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's been such a part of our lives for so long.
Yes, it has. Yeah. Who was it? The Sixers?
It was the Sixers. Yeah.
Tobias Harris over me, the famous Jimmy Butler line. But that finally it's going to be off the books.
Yeah.
And so
I'm kind of sad.
Yeah. End of an era here, but the launching of I think a full blown title contention. They have a few questions. Obviously, first of all, how much does Jalen Duren sign for? That's a big question. The Oscar Thompson extension, which won't kick in next year, but that's something that they'll have to address.
Yep.
They have all of their draft cap. So again, like pretty clean books now with that Tobias Harris contract gone.
Yeah.
They have all their draft capital, basically whatever you want to work with. Do they go out and get like a legit second option to pair with Cade? Like I would expect from a timing standpoint, this would be the perfect time for them to actually do something like that and address some of the more like offensive issues that they have. Mm-hmm. But this should be a title contending team for the next couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing I had written down was it's pretty obvious and everybody knows it, including the Pistons. They need that second creator, right?
Yeah.
So I had some of the bigger names I've written down. Obviously, we've talked about Markkanen for a long time. I don't think he's going anywhere.
I would love that, though.
Could Mitchell be available? I don't know. Which would be pretty hilarious after he just eliminated them.
Yeah.
The other name I had written down that obviously I have some personal stake in, but I wonder if they think that they could go get a guy like KD or something. If they wanted to go for a smaller fish, maybe the Lakers move on from Marcus Smart. CJ McCollum could be a good like backup score first guard. Another game that I would love for them to look at is Quentin Grimes. I think there's still some meat on the bone as far as his scoring ability, and he's shown to be like a solidly efficient scorer, and he's still pretty young, you know?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just I'd love to see them, if they don't go for a big fish, to try to get creative and smart. Kind of like the Duncan Robinson move, you know? Where you don't have to put all your apples in the basket, but do something that pushes the needle while not just relying on internal development, you know?
Yeah, I actually really like that idea. Just it falling short of getting someone big, like being able to work around the margins and get like a scoring guard, which is kind of a dying breed in the league, but it means that you can get one for cheap, and there's really no one that I think needs that more than the Pistons.
Honestly. Well, the Rockets maybe, but...
Yeah, well, no one who matters, I'm kidding. But yeah, that would be... I think great. If those would be like good buy low options, especially thinking about someone like McCollum, who I don't know where. I think he's a free agent this offseason, and it's like, you know, he's old. He's just a primary scoring guard. Like, he's not going to have that high of a market. So just go out and get him.
Yeah.
Moves like that I think could really help.
Yeah. The other question that they have is what to pay Jalen Duren. Obviously, he had a great regular season and really, I think, shrunk in the playoffs.
Yep.
So he's eligible for a 5-year, almost $300 million contract, which is mind-boggling amount of money.
Yeah.
Other teams can offer up to 4 years for 177. What do you think? What would you like to see the Pistons do?
I mean,
tough.
It's tough. The thing is, when you're like a fan or even an outsider looking at it, it's so easy to just be like, I think they should be able to get him for this number.
Yeah.
But it's like, you don't always get what you want, And I'm not Jalen.
And that relationship is so important. It's not just a number.
Yeah. It's the relationship. You take care of your guys, but also there's another, which is also Jalen Duren, and Jalen Duren's agent wanted to get as much money as possible, right? Mm-hmm. So how far up do they drive that price?
Yeah.
I can't. I think 40 million is where I get queasy a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe even a little bit. I think they would.
Oh, so even the 4 for 177, you'd be a little
nervous about that. I'd be nervous about I think that's probably what it'll end up being like.
Yeah.
I think he and Ausar Thompson, the extensions will probably look pretty similar. But yeah, not too much more than that.
Yeah.
Definitely. I would say absolutely not to 45 million.
Okay.
So I guess that would be my hard cutoff.
Yeah.
But he went in the playoffs and is just a guy. You can't have that, especially we talk about how this is wide open for the Pistons now, and they have all their assets and a clean books and everything. This could be something that potentially tanks all of that.
Yeah.
And where you suddenly have this 40 million guy who's really a 20 million guy, and you just have to carry that onto the roster.
You can't get those decisions wrong.
Yeah, you can't get the decision wrong. And we're not going to kill them now for making it, but this could easily be something where you look back in a couple years and you kill them for doing it. And look, if it does happen, they deserve the heat for it. You know? And I'm just spitballing numbers here on what I would do, but if you're the Pistons, you really need to get this right.
Yeah. The number I had in mind, I was thinking, and I know it was 2 years ago or last year, but if they could get somewhere near the Şengün number, which was 5 for 185, I think that they can sell him on long-term security. If you regress, you're good.
That would be great.
And see if they can convince it. But if they can, that would be, I think, huge for their team building perspective. Because you made the point, they have to pay Ausar soon enough, anyways.
And Kane's already on his extent. He's getting paid $50 million.
Yeah.
That depth's gonna run out real quick. So yeah.
So yeah. Cool. All right. Well, before we jump to the Cavs, which is our third eliminated team, I'd love to talk a little bit about the Knicks-Cavs series.
Okay.
And maybe we can combine it and talk about it in light of that.
Yeah.
And I'll definitely miss a little more time for this one. We haven't spent a ton of time talking about the Knicks over this entire playoff podcast.
Yeah.
But I think the reason is
not as much as a finals team would deserve.
Yes. But part of it is their series have just been boring from a narrative perspective.
Yeah.
They're just wiping the floor with these teams. And I know you saw the stat, but they won 10 straight, and they currently have the greatest point differential for a 10-game stretch, regular season or playoff in NBA history. And that includes the 2017 Warriors, 97 Bulls.
Yeah. The previous record holder was the 70s Bucks, I think.
Who was even on that team?
Was Kareem on that team?
Kareem might have been on that team. He was in the NBA for donkey's years.
Yeah, I think he was on that team.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what year of the 70s Bucks, but that's how far back it goes. And they beat that margin by 30 points. I think.
And that's it wasn't even close. Too.
Yeah. And it was in the playoffs. So, yeah.
In closeout games too.
Yeah, exactly. Where you expect that last gasp or whatever. But no, you're totally right. I mean, they've only lost 2 games this entire postseason, and it was by a combined 2 points, right?
Yeah. You're right. Combined 2 points.
Yeah. So, it's made for a tough narrative, I guess, because they haven't gone up against any world. The Cavs have probably been the toughest team on paper, and they just wiped the floor with them.
Honestly.
So, but no, look, I want to take this time for me to say I'm sorry to the Knicks. I mean, this is my biggest miss of the podcast ever, for sure.
Yeah.
Because I would like to victory lap my take before the season, which is that Mike Brown is going to turn this team into a title contender.
And you picked them to go to the finals, didn't you?
I think I did, yeah. I picked them to go to the finals.
You don't have to kill yourself too hard.
I had a hot take that they were going to, offense was going to be, I think, top 3 in the East or something.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I was high on them before, but then I was completely, totally out of them to start the playoffs because I was like, we have the sample size. Their starting five was basically all hell. I mean, maybe OG had some issue. I don't remember exactly, but mostly a lot of minutes and didn't play very well.
Yeah.
I didn't see this coming, I guess, and I don't really know. It's one of those things where you zoom out and before the year you had the right take, and then I don't know. Did they just not care about playing basketball for 6 months, and then they decided to lock in? I don't know.
Honestly, what it felt like.
Apparently, this is the hottest team of all time. So
yeah.
Yeah. I didn't see it coming. Yeah. I guess to shout out one player, again, apology form to Mikal Bridges, who excoriated a couple podcasts ago. I said he forgot how to play basketball.
A lot of people are going to be filling out apology forms to Mikal Bridges.
Yeah, and look, I've always been a Mikal Bridges believer. I mean, this dates back before the podcast. Okay, this is going to sound like total cope, but I promise it's true. I was a Mikal Bridges believer. But I mean, he was terrible for a couple months. And now he completely erased Tyrese Maxey in the last series, and then he did it again to James Harden in this series. He's become the guy that they traded for. They gave up all those picks for. And that's scary for the league.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a completely, it's the exact same Knicks team we've seen for a year, maybe a couple years, but yet they're playing out of their minds.
Yeah.
And it's the same team, but they look very different on the court. So we'll see. I think the question is also how good are they actually? Because
I have a question for you to kind of frame that. Mm-hmm. What percent of the pie, let's say there's 100 shares, would you say that this run has been a reflection of how good the Knicks are versus how bad the East has been, at least the competition that they face getting up to here?
That's not a fair question. I'm gonna sound like a hater. It's obviously because the East is really weak.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's no fault of the Knicks, really.
Yeah, they play whoever's in front of them.
Yeah, they play whoever's in front. So, you ask me what percent of the pie. Now, what percent of the Knicks' domination is the weakness of the East versus the Knicks being good? That's one where it's okay, you have to hand the Knicks some amount of props
credit,
for sure.
For sure.
But you just zoom out and you say, okay, the Knicks made the finals, beating the teams that they've beaten. That's a product of the weak East. But it's cause for hope that they do perform well in the finals as opposed to getting washed in 5 games how probably everyone would have thought before the playoffs.
Yeah. I think a lot of teams in the East thought, wow, this is wide open, we can get there. Mm-hmm. The Cavs with the Harden trade. Yeah. Dolan saying that we better get to the finals or bust. And the truth, it's true. All these teams, the East was weak, but there was one team that stood head and shoulders above all the rest.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought that the Knicks could turn it up because they did last year, but I definitely didn't see this coming. So the most important question now, obviously the Knicks are resting. They know what's next.
Yeah.
Do they have a real chance against whoever comes out of the West? What do you think?
Oh, yes.
They do. So?
I give them a real chance. And we're just talking about giving them a chance. Yeah, I think it'll go to... Number one, the rest advantage is huge. Now, that could come back to bite them in the form of rust in the first game. But, the Spurs and Thunder are wiping each other out.
And losing players.
They're losing players.
By the game.
Yeah, exactly. The Thunder, A.J. Mitchell and Jalen Williams, those are huge losses. And then on the Spurs, clearly De'Aaron Fox doesn't look all the way there. He's not himself really.
Yeah. Harper was hurt.
Dylan Harper was hurt. Maybe he's still feeling the effects of that. These teams are definitely like, it's a war of attrition, and the Knicks are just standing there on the other side. And that does give them a huge advantage to me. And you pair that with just how well they've been playing. Again, you don't know how it's going to look like against the Spurs or the Thunder.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I give them a real shot for sure.
Yeah, I think that's the right answer. I mean, I think they've shown enough. And when you combine that with the rest that they're getting, and you said it, like, the team that typically wins the finals is not always the best team. It's the team that can stay the healthiest for the longest time, because the playoffs is a absolute grind. And every single year we see what we would call like true title contenders falling by the wayside because they lose the wrong guy at the wrong time, So, yeah, I would tend to agree. I'd still probably favor whoever comes out of the West, but it's definitely something I want to like analyze and sit down with and figure out, because it's not just going to be the Western Conference Finals. It was the finals that we thought it was.
Yeah. It's really just a total unknown to me. Just because, like...
That's good. I agree.
I mean, first of all, who even are these Knicks? Like, I don't...
What do we even have to compare to? Like, the regular season was terrible.
Exactly.
Or fine, I guess.
Exactly. And I think they did beat the Spurs once in the regular season. But, like... is that what you're basing? You're basing the entire finals prediction off of that, or do you base it off of their body of work just being the playoffs? And it's like they haven't faced a team remotely close to the caliber of the Spurs or Thunder. I have no clue. Like really, I mean, we'll. I don't know if we're gonna get there, but like even if we did do like finals predictions, which we can't really do now. I have no clue what I would say because like it's tough.
Yeah, agreed. Let's jump over to the Cavs. Unless you have more thoughts on the Knicks.
Not really, no.
Oh! I do have one more thought.
Okay, sure.
We obviously Leon Rose deserves a lot of credit for building this championship team. There's a lot of moves that I thought were questionable at the time to get us here, but I think one thing that maybe we don't think about as much when getting here, that I deserves a lot of the credit for why the Knicks are where they are, is Jalen Brunson leaving $113 million on the table when he signed that contract extension.
Yeah.
When he totally could have asked for the max and they would have given it to him in a heartbeat, or they should have.
Yeah.
And that allowed them the flexibility to sign OG, to extend McHale, to take on Cat's max contract. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
While not losing out on their depth, like. This team is built the way that it is because Jalen Brunson isn't getting paid like he's playing.
Yeah. It's one of those things that's kind of like, it's weird to think. Although this is kind of, it gets to a different space where like, it like that should never be the expectation on players, is to like help their GMs out by taking less money.
Agreed.
So it makes me feel weird talking about it. But obviously, look, it's paid off. And I mean, if you're talking about, trading money for championships or whatever, I never like it when people like talk about that in terms of like legacy or whatever, but, that's what happened. And now look, they're in the finals.
Yeah. So it worked for them. Worked for him. Okay, cool. Let's pivot over to the Cavs. I have a question. If the Cavs were in the West, tell me these teams that you think they would beat if they had met them in the first round. Okay.
Okay.
They would remember the last two teams standing in the East. Thunder. I'm not even gonna go through it. Thunder, Spurs, Nuggets.
The first one was kind of tough for the Nuggets.
Yeah.
But like 9 out of 10 times the Nuggets are beating them. This Nuggets team was kind of unrecognizable to me, and they played so poorly that I don't feel confident saying that.
That's fair. That's fair. Let's say 60-40.
Sure.
Lakers?
No, Lakers.
Rockets?
I'll take the Rockets.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I'd take the Cavs.
It's interesting. I think if I did take the Cavs, it'd be really because of their front court, like being able to stifle Şengün. But
interesting. I was thinking for the opposite reason because their backcourt can just get at least some buckets where the Rockets could get none. I felt like
I don't feel like in terms of what we've actually seen these playoffs, like we've seen good moments, good stretches, but the Rockets still have good. I mean, I guess like,
that's true. And
they had a terrible round.
KD was out, so it definitely is a hamper. But anyways, Timberwolves, Trailblazers.
Oh yeah.
Do you think they'd be the Trailblazers? Yeah, I think I agree with you. So all that to say, the second seed in the East that the Knicks just beat in 4 probably would have lined up somewhere between 6 and 7 in the West, which is just to say like how weird the season was, and I think it might make it difficult for their GM and their ownership to evaluate what to do next. Yeah. I think it's pretty clear, but I don't know. Okay. I know the Hawks bought a lot of players after they went to the conference finals.
Yeah, true. Okay, I might have been overreacting a little bit with the Rockets. I don't know because they beat the Pistons. You know, with the Cavs
yeah, that's true. Yeah,
it's an achievement for them to get to the conference finals. Like it's an achievement to beat the Pistons, and that was a good series. But this is the second time in a row that this team has just been embarrassed in the playoffs.
Honestly,
and I don't know. It's sad. I can't really get my head around this team. They have a very complete roster on paper.
Yeah,
and then
just never comes together.
It just doesn't come together. Mm-hmm. But I think if we're doing an off-season look ahead, that's where questions I think get really, really tough for them.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of giving the answer away, but do you know who has the most expensive roster in the NBA?
I could never guess.
It's the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Wow, I'm shocked.
Their tax bill, and this is per cap expert Eric Pincus. I think I'm saying his name right. Apologies if I'm not. But their tax bill.
He's going to call you out for sure.
Whoa, don't come at me. It's $68.7 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money.
That's what they're paying in the luxury tax. And they're the only team in the league to already be over the second apron next year.
Oh, wow. Without having signed any free agents?
Yes.
Oh my
They're
goodness.
already at that because Evan Mobley's getting paid $50 million a year. Donovan Mitchell's getting paid $50 million
Harden's
a
at
year.
30.
Harden has a 42 or 48 something $million
right?
player option.
Player option. Oh my gosh.
Player option. Yes. So if he opts into that, they'll be in the second apron. Now here is the way that they're going to get under that, and I don't think you're going to like it.
Okay.
Basically, the only way that you can really get under this is by having Harden opt out of his player option and then signing a longer term deal where it's a lower cap hit, but it's stretched out over more years.
Got it.
So
yeah, you're right. I don't like it.
You're locked into James Harden for more years.
And that's how you convince him to not take the player option.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
That's how you get under the second apron. I think that's their only move. So, in case anyone out there was fantasizing about moving off of James Harden or whatever,
he has him by the throat.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
The way the roster is presently constructed, yes, that's the way it is. So, I mean, people have talked a lot about the Cavs. Do you extend Harden? Do you there are these LeBron rumors swirling around? Which when you take the cap into perspective, it's how do they even make that happen?
I know. The Cavs of all teams.
Yes. Yeah. Hi. Do you trade Evan Mobley for Giannis? I've
heard that a lot.
Heard some of that. You package Mobley and Merrill or Mobley and Strus or something. I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, this was supposed to be their all-in year because last year I think they they just went under the first apron, and then they went into they went like really deep into the second apron when I think that's when the Mobley extension kicked in. And this is it. This is it. I don't know where you go from here. This is supposed to be their all-in year.
Yeah.
And this is their all-in team, and they're carrying it forward. This is supposed to be the team that's competing for titles. Mm-hmm. This is what you got. I don't know what else you can do. Dean Wade is their only significant free agent.
Okay.
They have the
Who's an important player for them?
He was.
One of their best perimeter defenders.
He was, and also you're not getting him back because you don't have the space for
that. Yeah.
They have the Spurs 29th pick. I don't remember how they have that, but they have it.
One of the worst picks to have.
Yeah. And again, like NIL has like, I know it's a deep draft, but NIL is really like when you get into that range, that's
already
where
cut
really
into some of the depth. Yeah, that's a good point.
They have tradable first in 2031 or 2033 if you want to get drastic. You want to like those are trade assets. Mm-hmm. They'll almost certainly, I think, have to move off of Max Strus for cap relief. Also, again, because they're going to be into the tax again.
Another important player for them.
So that'll save them, I think, like $14 million or something like that. But right, that's another. So now you're eroding like more depth. That's another piece that's gone. Really important wing guy, 3-and-D hustle, all that.
And more importantly, a need for them.
Yeah.
Like these are the guys they can least afford. To lose, because at least with the other positions they have some redundancy.
You have point guards, you have front court players, you don't have too many wings, and now you're about to have one. I think you're about to have one less. So if anyone thought that like the Cavs are like, I don't know, this is house money and they're gonna go all in next year. I mean maybe it's the Knicks 2.0 where they somehow put it all together and like
I've seen that.
It worked on paper and then it just took like years for it to work in practice. I don't know. But yeah, the cap situation is hell. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I didn't like it. James Harden was 5 for 28 from the three.
Oh my goodness.
This series, he looked gassed against Scotty Barnes. I thought he got locked up by Asar, and then he looked slow against the Knicks. He just could not compete with their pace. Mikal Bridges locked him up. And these are great defenders. I'm not trying to say he was playing against scrubs, but when you're paying a guy at this level, $40 million, I think that I recall something that you said about Michael Porter Jr. When we were talking about teams having interest in him. And I thought you made a great point that like there are some guys who, whether it's stage of career or the type of player that they are for different reasons, they should go to teams that don't need them. Because when a team needs them, they will not, for whatever reason, they're just not going to perform up to that level.
Yeah.
At this stage of his career, 37-year-old James Harden, I think, should be on a team that doesn't need him. I think he could add a lot as like a secondary creator or as someone who can even come off the bench if he's willing to do that. But it's clear he just does not have enough gas to play in what is a increasingly fast-paced league against increasingly athletic guards. Mm-hmm. So that's which it was a completely irrelevant point because, as you said, they have to re-sign him.
But no, so I think you're totally right. Is that like that's where he would see the most success, and I think that like that's perfectly appropriate for a guy who's like forgot on the wrong side of 30s, on the wrong side of 35.
Yeah,
so, like.
And that's okay. He's
that's okay.
At his level at this age, that's good.
But it's not what the case is, and it's probably not what the case is going to be. And so, I mean, he's going to be a very rich man, that's for sure. But not a lot of success there. I was particularly disappointed in Donovan Mitchell too. I know I've defended him. I think he has incredible scoring prowess. I think that if you're like watching basketball to learn basketball moves and like if you're like a young guy out there, I think Donovan Mitchell's a great guy to study his tape.
For sure. But, that's a good.
But I don't know, like too much dribbling, not enough creation, and I think that's always the knock on Donovan Mitchell is like his creation. which I thought that he took a step last year in doing that. That was my big thing. Is like, oh man, Donovan Mitchell, like the lob threats, the skip passes. Like I thought he was a threat, and I didn't see any of that this year.
Yeah.
I thought all of that regressed all the way back, and it's disappointing to me.
Yeah. The only disappointment I had is that they couldn't push it to 5. Because that's what I predicted.
Yeah.
That the Knicks were gonna beat them in 5, and they beat them in 4, and it didn't look close for a moment, except for the first 3 quarters of Game 1. Yeah. Which just set up the most terrifying.
Oh my goodness! Defeat. And that one, if you want to talk about like where you lost the series, it could have been just right there.
Yeah.
And I could do a whole episode on that game alone. It was that Kenny Atkinson not calling that timeout when Jalen Brunson had all those points in a row. Draymond Green, I don't know if you saw it, released like he was just making the point that like. They kept getting James Harden involved in all those actions. Like, what are you paying everyone else to do? Because that's not what James Harden does. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a really good moment for Draymond Green as a commentator. But also because, like, he's used to doing that. That's his job in the Warriors is, let's go hide Steph. Steph is the offense.
Yes.
But on defense, it's not his job to worry about guarding their best player in Jalen Brunson. And so he just kind of excoriating them for not having a solid game plan around that. Mm-hmm. And it was very simple. Oh, is James Harden guarding me? I'm going to attack him. Is he not guarding me? He's guarding OG Anunoby. Let's go set a screen here.
It's like an AAU level.
I don't know. It's just like, this is innovative playoff basketball. This is what like we've seen everyone do this for decades, maybe 2 decades. Like this is basic stuff, the switch hunting, stuff like that. And there's things that you can do. So you can talk about that. You can talk about the timeout usage. You can talk about this, the substitution. There were some bad calls that went their way. Anyways, I'm getting too much on a tangent on Game 1, but I don't know. You just talk about a team that doesn't have it, and the Cavs didn't have it.
Yeah, that honestly might be where we can leave it. That's good. All right.
It's time.
It's time. So where are we at? Let's take a stock real quick. The Thunder just beat the Spurs by like 10, 15 in a game in which they held the lead pretty much the entire time. We're going into Game 6, and I feel like I can pretty confidently say that anyone who doesn't live in San Antonio or OKC is rooting for the Spurs this next game because I want to see a game 7. And this series has been, I wouldn't say each individual game has been awesome, but the level of basketball and the level of care to me has just been so exciting. And these teams are like, they're kind of set up for the next few years to just butt heads against each other. And I want us to start with a banger series in a Game 7. So go Spurs for Game 6.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the only criticism of the series is just that it hasn't been close, but narrative-wise...
Game 1, except for Game 1.
Yeah, except for Game 1, yeah. Which, goodness, that was a crazy game.
Yeah.
But narrative-wise, I mean, these teams, like, genuinely don't like each other. The crowds are getting into it.
Oh my gosh, the crowds have been awesome.
Yeah, I mean, both crowds have been incredible. So, yeah, I mean, it's been great, and I definitely want 7. So, I mean... It's no secret that I don't love the Thunder, but I'm definitely rooting for the Spurs in Game 6.
Speaking of that, actually, like shout out to the Pacers. The 3 teams that they played ended up being 3 of the 4 teams left in this year's playoffs. You know what I mean? I mean between the Cavs, the Knicks.
Yeah, I forgot to do my Pacers propaganda thing. I mean,
I'm doing it for you.
Yeah, the Eastern Conference Finals is between the team that we beat in the conference semis and then the conference finals.
Yeah, come on, Rich. That was such low-hanging fruit.
It was. I made the point on text. I didn't bring it here to the podcast. So I'll do better next time.
Yeah. Oh man. Anyways, so jumping back, I want to talk a little bit about Game 5.
Okay.
And something that I saw that encouraged me as to thinking that the Spurs can do this and win the next 2, including 1 in OKC.
Okay.
I think one of the marks of great teams is they don't let themselves get blown out. They're always like in the mix, clawing for it, and like just even if all the shots aren't hitting, they're still scrappy. They're still like just one weird play and a run away, you know?
Yeah.
So last night, I noticed at the end of the third, Wemby was 3 for 9. He had his first negative box plus minus game this entire playoffs.
Yep.
SGA had shot 17 free throws to that point.
Yep.
And they had so many terrible fouls, but still at the end of it, they were down by just 10. And it felt like a game that, like, whenever you looked at the score, I was like, wait, can the Spurs do this? Yeah. And that, to me, is an indication of a great team. And to me, that, like, speaks to, like, they are not just going to, like, go quiet into the night.
Yeah.
So that's what that kind of left me with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a good case for optimism. I think that the minutes to me are what I'm more concerned about.
Mm-hmm.
This is one thing. It's just that the Thunder, and this is apparent from the start, have been very intentional about holding up in a long series.
They have, yes.
And this is where they have the championship experience, the playoff experience, and Coach Daigneault, I think, has learned his lessons by really managing their minutes. So the Spurs have 5 guys playing 30-plus minutes a game, and 3 guys playing 35-plus minutes.
And that's something that Wemby's not used to.
He's not.
I know he's been fighting hard, but that's not his norm.
Yeah, exactly. And this is also a series where there's no 2 nights off. And this is the way conference finals are, is because they want to give similar rest advantage, and so it's just one night after another every single time. There's no 2 nights off, and so you compound that with the fact that like Wemby's not used to it, and that's where I'm also like going forward. It's like how dead are the Spurs' legs when you talk about the shots not falling. It looked
dead in Game 5.
It looked dead to me, and that's where it's like I wonder if this is where the Thunder is just, they just send so many bodies at you. Like even now, Kenrich Williams, who wasn't playing at all, was
great in the last game.
He's been hitting all his shots, been playing great. I just wonder if like this is where the Thunder show their hand now and like really put the boot on the throat. So in terms of minutes, the Spurs have 3 guys playing 35-plus minutes.
Yeah.
For the Thunder, the top 3 in minutes played is Shea, who's playing 38.6 minutes a game.
Oh wow, that's actually a lot more than I thought.
It's a lot. Yeah, he's playing a lot. Second is Chet, who's playing 30.4 minutes a game.
What?
Mm-hmm.
And it feels like it too. Like half the time he's out of their lineup, I feel like. And
third is Cason Wallace playing 26.6.
So everyone else is lower than 26 minutes.
Yeah.
That's something.
Basically, like a lot of their guys are just playing 20 minutes a game, 15 minutes a game, but it's enough where like I think at this point I start to question like how fresh are the Spurs going to be in like an all or nothing Game 7 or even an elimination Game 6.
Yeah.
They might have enough for Game 6, but this is really where it starts to take their toll. I think it was a very intentional move from Mark Daigneault, who knew that this was going to be a long series and managed the minutes very carefully from the very start, accordingly.
Knowing,
yeah. So these are like the kinds of like series-long adjustments that this is playoff coaching. I mean, this is it's been every bit of the physical dogfight that you thought it would be, and I think the Thunder knew that going into it. So yeah, that's kind of my
first
thought on.
Yeah, that's honestly such an excellent point to bring out, because it is. You're right. It did really look like that in Game 5. What also that makes me think of, and what I'm like learning watching the series, especially considering the Thunder are down 2 of their 4 best players.
Yes. Yeah.
You can never have too many creators. Ever. I do not care. Like, don't. I guess. Yeah, you like the amount of people on the Thunder who can just go and get their own shot. Yeah. To the point that like I think I'm not gonna go out and say it, but like they beat this incredible Spurs team minus Jalen Williams and minus AJ Mitchell. Like Jared McCain like is doing his who is AJ? Like, and I said this about Jalen Williams earlier this year. AJ Mitchell, it's like, why do you need Jalen Williams? Now I'm like, why do you need AJ Mitchell? You're Jared McCain. You know what I mean? Yeah. Which is not to say that's actually true.
No, yeah.
It's just to say that, like, it is the most important thing you can do in the NBA is to be able to put the ball in your hands and go score.
Yeah.
And the Thunder just have, like, pretty much like 10 guys who can do it.
Genuinely screw Daryl Morey for making that. Like, I think Daryl Morey, like, if the Thunder win this series, that's a huge... It's something that's so small around the margins, but then it matters...
the only move they made.
Exactly. Yeah. But it matters so much when you're missing AJ Mitchell and Jalen Williams. And now, that was a big adjustment going into Game 5, inserting Jared McCain into the starting lineup. Why? Because you need that secondary creator. And he had been struggling in that series up to that point. But, you know, he plays with so much confidence, and, like, he's another threat that you have to respect.
Yeah.
And you're right. You never can have enough creators. And I guess it wasn't enough for the Thunder to have Shea and J-Dub and AJ Mitchell emerging, that when two of those guys went out, they still had... I mean, really, it's kind of funny because we were talking about how did the Thunder, like, not repeat. And again, I was pointing back to the preseason
Yeah.
I was just throwing some other... What if they get hurt or something?
Yeah.
Well, they just bolstered that by adding more and more creators.
Yeah,
and
Sam Presti was...
Yeah.
He listened to our podcast.
Sam Presti listens to our podcast.
Shout out Sam Presti.
Can we talk about Shea? Because, I mean, this is more of like, it's more of an off-season conversation in terms of where he really stacks up. But he has not been very good.
No. Pretty much most of these playoffs, but definitely this series.
Yeah, I said, like, he had a phenomenal round one beating up against the Suns, sure. Yeah. But in his last two series, he's had 25 and 8, 25 points, 8 assists, on 42, 33, 89 splits. He's shooting effective field goal percentage, so this is waiting for threes but not counting free throws, 45.5%.
Yeah.
And then 3.6 turnovers a game. It's a conversation, again, I think we might talk about it more in the offseason, but his net rating in this playoffs is minus 26.5 when you exclude garbage time.
And he's like an advanced stats darling typically.
Yeah, because of how efficient he normally is, but he's not efficient in these playoffs.
Yeah.
And he generally, like, hasn't been efficient in the playoffs at all, really. If you go back to the last two playoffs, including last year when they won the championship, minus 13.9 net rating. It's just something to think about when we're having these best player in the world talks. Like, yeah, you can win these championships, but I'm going to sound like a hater, but, like, look, I'm watching what I'm seeing on the screen.
Yeah.
And
no, I think the eye test matches these numbers that you're talking about.
Yeah, it does. Like, I've said it. I feel like the Thunder play better when you have Jared McCain and AJ Mitchell on the floor than when Shea's on the floor. And it makes no sense when you think about the roster. You think that, especially with J-Dub and Mitchell being out, that makes Shea even more valuable, that the on-off numbers look even worse because they're so reliant on his creation.
Yeah.
But then when you watch the games, I think it starts to make a little bit more sense. Just because Shea tends to try to dribble his way out of trouble. Herky-jerkies, drawing fouls.
Boy, has he done that.
He's done a lot
especially
of that.
Last game.
But he tries to dribble his way out of trouble a lot. And it's kind of shades of what I was talking about with Donovan Mitchell, where, like, that's fine and all in the regular season. And Shea is, like, one of just the best. I think he's one of the best ball handlers in the NBA.
Oh, yeah. No question.
I mean, especially look at how little turnovers he has and just the way he moves. He's, like, never thrown off balance, really. He's always able to be the aggressor, even though teams are loading up against him. But when he's off the floor, it feels like they play a lot more like team basketball. The ball's pinging around a lot more. And they have the guys where, like, they have the guys that can attack closeouts, put the ball on the floor, do some drive and kick. even I saw like Chet Holmgren doing some of that, where it's like I've always said he's been a little bit more limited offensively, but when you can get guys like Caruso doing that, guys like Chet doing that, obviously Jared McCain, it starts to make a little bit more sense versus when Shea has the ball all the time and you know exactly what your game plan is.
Yeah.
And all 5 guys are locked into Shea.
Yeah.
And they're all playing as one because the ball's not like moving as much and like threatening them in the same way. So it's really not something that when you talk about who's going to win this championship, something that we have to take into account really. But I mean, look, he's the MVP of the league. He's a back-to-back MVP. It's something you have to talk about at some point. It's just like, why do they look better when he's not on the floor?
Yeah.
And particularly, I want to talk about Game 5 because his free throws are really, really boosting his scoring numbers and his true shooting percentage, which takes into account. Now, look, free throws are part of the game, right? Obviously, it's I want an efficiency metric that takes that into account. I want it to be where if a guy, you fall for a pump fake, you go up, you get fouled, you score 2 free throws. Yeah, you deserve that. That's a scoring opportunity. You had 1 possession. You got 2 points out of that possession. Should be the same as a made basket, right? Last game was a great example of why that's not always the case. That sometimes free throws are not as valuable as actual field goals made. In the last game, he had 17 free throw attempts, right? Mm-hmm. Only 6 of those actually came on shooting fouls.
Were the rest because they were in the bonus?
Yes. The other 10 of them were...
There were so many disgusting fouls in that game.
10 of them were non-shooting foul personal fouls that were taken when they were in the bonus. And one of them was the tech that was called on Mitch Johnson. So that's statistically...
Just a disgusting sequence.
Right. Who gets the credit for those free throws? Like, you could say, the bonus is also part of basketball, right?
Yeah.
Shouldn't you get credit for that? Okay, but that wasn't just Shea. Like, the value of drawing a foul in that time...
It's a team effort.
It's a team effort because you also need to account for all the fouls that were drawn before that to get you in the bonus in the first place. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, I'm sorry. Shea walking down the floor hitting a step back 2 has way more value than Shea getting fouled 70 feet from the basket when they're in the bonus. And so that's when you're watching, like, why does the eye test not match the numbers? That's one thing that you have to talk about and that's not even getting into all the flopping, the calls, that's its own discourse. I'm saying even if all of those foul calls are completely 100% legitimate, yeah, the free throws inflate your numbers where you're not actually producing the impact that the numbers say.
But you're not actually drawing some of those free throws to attribute to you.
Because it was a team effort. Because it was a team effort to get into the bonus. And then we can have the conversation on drawing the fouls. And I mean, I have nothing particularly insightful or special to say about that. Everyone's seeing it. Everyone knows what it is. Yeah. Like, I don't know. It is what it is, but yeah, Shea has just not really been all that great, and they're still world beaters. So.
Yeah, I like that you drew out the Shea struggles across kind of 3 playoffs. Because obviously, in the first time he went to the playoffs, that series against Dallas, he got outplayed, in my opinion, by both Luka and Kyrie. And then last year, he certainly had some incredible moments. I don't take way too much from him, but the numbers tell a story too, right? Like the eye test matters, but that matters too. And this series, especially, I think that the eye test is backing up everything that you're saying.
Yeah.
And part of it, unfortunately, and unfortunately for them, and this is something that I kind of want to highlight is this is the new reality for NBA teams and players. Is there is a 7'6" alien who the championship every single year that he is healthy is going to go through. And just to highlight the impact that he's made in this series, the Thunder against the Lakers, they shot 36.4% of their shots in the restricted area. Against the Suns, they shot 35.3% of their shots in the restricted area. These are good shots. Mm-hmm. These are the easiest shots in the game. They're the most valuable shots of the game because you're so close to the rim. It's easy to. I don't need a crazy story to paint this picture.
Yeah.
Against the Spurs, they have been shooting 30.8% of their shots from the restricted area, which is a 60% drop. I bet if you took a subset of that for minutes that Wemby's on the floor, it would look even smaller.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that matters because first off, like you said, like shout out to Diagonal. I think he's been smart thinking about this series from a 7-game perspective. And one of the adjustments that he's made is I've noticed, like when I watched the Timberwolves against the Spurs, their mentality was we're not going to change the way that we play. Yeah. We're going to ram it down your throat. I'm going right into the paint. If I get blocked, I'm going to go right up again,
Yeah.
Which I admire the gusto and fervor with which they're playing, but they also lost.
Yeah.
They lost in 6. For me, the brilliant move by Diagonal was just to say that here are the stats when you try to shoot in the restricted area against Wemby. 1 of every 2 shots is going to get blocked. Mm-hmm. And 1 of every 3 shots is going to get affected. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So what they've been doing is that if they swing it to the paint and they don't have they're not behind him or already in the air for an alley-oop, if he's there, they're just swinging it right back out.
Yeah.
And I would say the only shout out I'd like to give to Shai is that he, in my opinion, has been doing a good job of passing out of double teams and not taking dumb shots or getting up dumb turnovers.
Yeah.
Obviously the shooting efficiency is down. But I honestly didn't know he had that passing. I never thought of him as a good passer. I thought of him as a fine passer.
Yeah.
But he has done a great job of swinging it to the open man, which when they double him, you have to do that to keep your offense flowing. Otherwise, you get stagnant. You start looking like some of those Harden teams over the years. Yeah. You know what I mean? And you said it. This team, the Thunder, they are made to swing the ball around. They're made to run. Mm-hmm. And I think that's been a saving grace for them. When your superstar gets frustrated, sometimes they can just start giving live ball turnovers, and you cannot do that against these guards,
Yeah.
So, I think that's been really important for the Thunder maintaining this lead.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. Great point there. They're not trying super dumb stuff with Wemby. They've definitely changed their approach to favor more kicking out and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And Shai, like you talked about, 9.8 assists per game on the series.
Wow, I did not know that.
Yeah.
That's a lot of assists.
It is.
My goodness.
Yeah. And now, a lot of that again is, they're maybe not super valuable. There's a difference when you talk about rim assists versus
sure,
right, but still, he is being able to pass the ball. They've doubled him for most of the time. I think Game 4 is when they kind of went off of that and saw some more success with that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But it's what you need to do, and he's been making those passes, and they've been making him pay. So yeah, I think the thing with Thunder Spurs is what it's kind of become, like it or not, is the Spurs have the 7-4 alien, and in my opinion, the best player in the series, and maybe in the world.
I agree.
And then the Thunder just have definitively the better roster. And that's not the way it really played out in the regular season.
Yeah.
But that's the way that it's been here. And so that's simultaneously the case for optimism and the case for pessimism, if you're a fan of either teams. Is that if you're the Spurs, you can know that you have the best player in the series. And this is a kind of a classic thing, right? Is best player versus best team, right?
Yeah.
We've seen that version with LeBron and the Warriors.
Yeah, LeBron.
And this is kind of the 2.0 version of that.
Yeah.
Is we have Wemby, but the rest of the Spurs have not played as really that good. Castle's done a good job against Shai.
Yeah.
But the live ball turnovers have been killing
him. You cannot have that many turnovers against the Thunder.
Yeah. And the 3-point shooting, really, the only guy that is, let me see if I have the stat here. the only guy for the Spurs who's shooting over 40% from 3.
Can I guess?
Sure.
Is it Champagny? No?
He went off last game, but he was struggling.
He was struggling before that. That's true. That's true. Let me see. Not Castle, not Harper, not Wemby. Vassell. Yeah, it's got to be Vassell. Shout out to you for...
That I nominated.
You nominated.
Because I love his shot. I love his shot. He's shooting over 40%. The Thunder have 3 guys who are shooting over 40% from 3 and have played every game.
Yeah.
And that's not counting the guys who haven't played it, like Henrik Williams, who's shooting like bananas from 3.
Yeah.
But he hasn't played every game. It was small sample size, right?
Yeah.
The Thunder are just a better team, like, from top to bottom. And I don't know. You wish that it wasn't that way. Dylan Harper had a great game 1. Like it looks scary.
I know. It still does, to be honest.
And
as far as long-term outlook.
In terms of long-term outlook, yes. And in terms of like, okay, he's like limited from injury. I can believe that. But as far as this series goes, it's been rough outside of that. De'Aaron Fox. Let me pull up the numbers for him.
Just completely disappeared.
It's been bad. He's I had to scroll all the way down on the shooting percentage here. No wait, I can't find it. Oh wait. De'Aaron Fox is scoring 12 points a game on 38, 16, and 66 splits.
16 and 66?
Yeah. So 41.6% true shooting percentage.
That's like a center.
Yeah. Well, a center from
free throw
3.
Percentage.
Yeah, from the free throw percentage standpoint. But he hasn't even really like been getting to the line very much.
Yeah.
Like again, just not at all. And obviously, he's missed some time.
Sure, and he probably rushed it back. Would be my guess.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'm not saying that these guys are like particularly disappointing me, but it's just like you need more to win. Where, like you said, Wemby first time that he didn't have a positive box plus minus, and they got killed last game.
Yeah,
like Wemby. You can't afford to lose the Wemby minutes because, like, that's really what's propping you up. Yeah. It's like Devin Vassell has, in my opinion, been the only guy who I would say overall has played good outside of Wemby.
Yeah.
It's like you can point to things about Castle, you can point to things about Harper.
For sure.
Champagny had a great game, like. Last game or 2 games or whatever.
Last game, yeah.
But overall, the Thunder clearly from 2 to 15 have the better roster.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I have a few thoughts on a few different players. So, and I want to get your notes on them. So, first of all, I recall when we were at your place last time watching some home videos, there was someone who was playing the cello. Okay. On one of the home videos, she was excellent. I don't know who she was.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about the cello. Okay, but just as a human, like having a very basic understanding of how it's supposed to sound, and watching her, without knowing anything, I could very clearly tell that this person is very good at what they do. And I think that there's like an ability for people to just recognize a combination of talent and skill and potential. So all that to say, my dad, who doesn't watch basketball very much, but he loves watching when we're hanging out. And he's always asking me questions like, who's this guy? What's this guy? So we were watching Spurs Thunder. I think it was game 3. And Castle wasn't even having a good game, honestly. But he was still fighting hard on defense, making smart moves with the ball. And my dad asked me, and I didn't tell anything about Castle. We were just talking about Wemby and the Thunder and the rivalry and things.
Yeah.
And he said, who is that player? And I told him, his name is Stephon Castle. He's a really young guy. He's younger than Wemby, but he's like a really important player for them. And he's like, he said these words, like, that guy's going to be a star. And I think that, like, to me, like, when someone says something like that, and they don't know anything about what they're watching, like, when someone is just dancing and when they're playing any game, it just is in such, he was in such a flow that you could just see that, like, this guy is going to be a great basketball player.
Yeah.
And I think like he's absolutely right. I think Stephon Castle one day, hopefully, will be a star. And I just thought that was a cool story that I want to share.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I think that, like, I completely agree. Like, I think Castle, while I wouldn't say, the reasons why I wouldn't say he's been good by his standards is just because of shooting efficiency and unlive ball turnovers to start the series, right? But you talk about a guy who plays with tenacity, who handles his assignments, and who like just wants it so bad. And that's where like I can talk about the Spurs and where like maybe they haven't played so well, but I'm not at all questioning their level of desire, their heart, their want.
For sure.
I like don't take any of this to mean that like I don't think that they're good, because they're very good. I'm just talking about what has actually been put on the court thus far. In terms of want, gotta have it stuff, Stephon Castle is up there as far as guys that I would take. I mean,
he's so competitive.
This is going to sound like I'm not complimenting him, but because I'm a Pacers fan, this is a deep compliment. Like, I get the same feeling watching him that I do watching the 2025 Pacers. Like, in terms of like,
that's the highest compliment you can pay him. I
think fan. Like, I watch him, and then you watch the way like Nembhard would be a pest against Brunson or against SGA, and you watch the way Castle does it. Like, it's that same level of like just 24/7 ball pressure, tenacity stuff. And I've never really quite seen it in a guy on another team until I watched Steph Castle in this series. Like, and that's where it's like, okay, yeah, you can criticize certain stuff and it's warranted, but you got to respect the heart.
Yeah,
you got to respect the heart
for sure. As people who love to play sports, I think that we can respect that a lot and appreciate that. So, another player who I wanted to highlight, Lu Dort. He just, to me, just seems more gettable in every way. I feel like his lateral this year compared to last year. Like last year watching him, I was like, this guy could lock up a cheetah. Yeah. He was so strong. Just his lateral quickness was unbelievable. And it just felt like anytime he was in front of a player, that player was not going to score. It was incredible. But this year, I really feel like when he's guarding Harper or Castle and they're trying to get to the rim, like I almost feel like they can push him off his line, or he can be beat, and sometimes he just has these frustration fouls. And I looked it up, and his defensive rating last year was in the playoffs was 109.5. This year it's 115.1. Which is rough, especially considering that his 3-point shooting, though it was good last year, for the most part has not been great. Like he's definitely a 3-and-D player with an emphasis on the D, you know. And looking ahead to obviously Sam Presti's got some tough decisions, and I don't think it's necessarily coming next year. But when you have these plethora of wing players, we've talked about how important creators are. I don't see how you can value someone playing at Dort's level above guys like McCain or obviously Mitchell. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think it's something to keep an eye on. Is he looks to me like there's Caruso, McCain, and then there's Dort, you know?
Yeah.
And I think that matters considering he was such a big part of their identity last year.
Definitely. I think that if you've been watching the Thunder carefully this year, there's a reason why when we were putting up the nominations, we said Cason Wallace and not Lu Dort.
Yes.
And I don't know what it is, but yeah, he's taken some steps back. To the extent where it's noticeable that it used to be he was the Thunder guy. You talked about how tenacious the Thunder were, how much they swarm you on defense, some of the foul stuff. Lu Dort was that guy, right? And this year it's almost like Cason Wallace, Caruso are those guys.
Yeah, and I think they've taken the mantle from him.
They've taken the mantle from him. So yeah, I mean, obviously, ever since they got championship level good, I think that people have been looking at that contract as something that they would try to move off of. Yeah. But definitely, I mean, it's not something that I'm not worried about the Thunder at all. It is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, I agree with you.
Only other guy I wanted to talk about, and I know you'll be excited to talk about this one, because you mentioned him on our "He Doesn't Have Enough Dog in Him" podcast. Is Chet Holmgren.
Yeah.
I didn't check the stats from the last game. I'm sure we look at it pretty quickly, but he had 45 points through 4 games. I get that Chet is not like an offensive superstar. Like, that's okay. He's supposed to play a role of being an incredible rim protector and a shot blocker, someone who can switch out on the perimeter and who can knock down threes, every once in a while create. But come on, man. 45 points through 4 games? Like, this is the matchup. You were created to guard someone like Wemby.
Yeah.
And you're, like, not even kind of doing it. And I feel like his impact to me has just been so muted. Like, he looks like just another, and I get, we talk about role player and star and all, but I would put him, as far as impact, below Jared McCain. I put him below Caruso, guys who are coming off the bench for the Thunder. And I just want more out of Holmgren every year. I think that it's going to be like that next level. But he's definitely just like another guy for them who, like, obviously fills an important role. It's hard to find a 7'4" shot blocker. But you just thought he'd level up at some point, and he hasn't.
Yeah. No, I'm not really surprised. I actually kind of thought that this has been a better Chet series than I thought it would be.
That's funny. Because we were coming from different perspectives.
Yeah, because this is who I've always thought Chet was. That, like, he's a role player at a role that's very hard to find, which is that
that's a great point.
He shoots threes, and he provides invaluable shot blocking, the weak side help, stuff like that, which we've seen that this series too. And so I was like, well, Chet Holmgren's, like, he's been pretty efficient this series. Like, I've seen a little bit more aggression from him. So I was like, good Chet series. But for a guy who's about to get the extension that he's going to get, he's not that guy. Which I questioned it at the time that they paid it to him. I was like, you don't really need to do this.
Yeah.
Especially when you have so many good young guys. Do you want to invest that much in a guy who hasn't proven very much offensively?
Yeah.
And it's just been more of the same of, like, he's a role player, and he doesn't really have an expanded offensive game. He can't put the ball on the floor very much at all. And that just kind of is what it is. But he's not costing the team anything in terms of, like, on-court plays. He's not giving up, like, oh no, it's a non-shooter. Oh no, protection, defense. So he's pretty well-rounded into whatever they want to do, and that's what makes him valuable.
Yeah, that's what works.
Yeah.
But I think it is just pretty telling that your, like, defensive stalwart is, like, the third guy you'd have behind Hartenstein and Jalen Williams to guard Wemby, or even Caruso.
Yeah, well, they haven't put Chet on Wemby very much at all. And whenever it is, it's been like that. It's always been, like, wing ISO stuff. It's never been post-ups. And that feels like a very intentional thing to try to get Chet to be more of a roamer and things like that. Which, so I'm not going to fault Chet as much for that. But, and I thought that he hasn't gotten burned by Wemby too badly.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he's not the Wemby stopper. In case anyone thought that it was going to be that, no, he's not that.
Yeah. That's all I got.
All right. I got a couple more thoughts.
Shoot.
Well, just a few. Not huge, but the series-to-series variance is something that taking notice of. So we've talked a lot about Jared McCain. But he actually has struggled this series up until last game. And then last game, he popped off a lot.
I thought he was pretty good in game 3, too. But I'll say, in most of the games, he's been pretty good.
Yeah. You know what he shot from 3 in his first 4 games? 22.2%.
What?
Yeah.
He didn't look like that at all.
Well, I noticed it because of how badly he was burning the Lakers. He shot 63% from 3 against the Lakers. Like, every time he shot it, you knew it was going to go in. And some of that is defense
compare
stuff.
One of the worst defensive guard playoff teams to one of the best.
But, I mean, some of that is defense stuff, but a lot of his stuff is driving kick, like, pretty open stuff. I mean, now, granted, like, that matters a little bit, but definitely some of that is variance. And you see that where he was put in more of like I think an intentional role last game where it's not just McCain's more of an afterthought or McCain's going to give you 10 minutes of offense, but it's more of like McCain, we need you to step up.
Yeah.
Because we need a guy who can do the things that you do. And he goes out there and he answers the call. I feel like it's more of the mindset thing that was kind of why he was able to be so good and not as much of, the Spurs were shutting him down. You talked about how, which has largely been correct, like that's an example of what you said with Wemby is the great equalizer with making your role players make sure they play like role players.
Yeah.
And I thought Jared McCain was an example of that through the first 4 games. That's, again, also what makes the Thunder scary is that a guy like Jared McCain who's playing like that has the potential to do what he did last game.
Yeah.
So, you never know who's going to pop off for them. Caruso was the guy who, I think if you want to talk about, we haven't said his name at all thus far. We've done this for however many minutes. We're not even keeping track because we want to listen.
There's no point.
Yeah, right?
The rest of it was just fodder.
It was just fodder for this. But it's insane that we haven't mentioned Caruso's name because I feel like he's been, just from an impact standpoint, I don't know if there's many people. Obviously Shea's super valuable. Number of minutes he plays, the offensive workload. After Shea,
ratings aside.
After Shea, right? Yeah, on off whatever But I would say it's Shea and then Caruso.
I think you're right.
This series, as much as I hate to admit it, because it's been annoying.
Yeah.
But he shot 29% from 3 against the Lakers. And now he's shooting 58% from 3.
Bonkers. And it's been game after game. I know you said 1 or 2 rough games, but it's been consistent.
Yeah. And that's 3-point shooting, which he doesn't do. His main thing is defense and being a pest and hustling and all that stuff, making the right reads on offense. You said it, I didn't say it. But even making the right reads on offense, and you put the cherry on top of the shooting, he's just been the complete role player in this series.
Yeah.
So I pulled. This is a stat from, again, apologies if I butchered the name. Kirtika Uttayakumar on
Good
Twitter.
for you for trying. I would have just said Kirtika.
This is from my good friend Kirtika. He shot 29% from 3 in the regular season. In these playoffs so far, he's shooting 47.7% from 3. That would be the highest jump in NBA history.
Wow.
So you talk about stuff that makes
that's a stat right there.
Championship run. Yeah. That's so Jared McCain went from a 60% 3-point shooter to more 20-25%.
Yeah.
And Caruso went from around the 20s to 60%.
She needed someone.
So it just completely equalized. It would be scary if they both popped off in one of these next 2 games.
Yeah.
So you talk about all the reasons to be scared of the Thunder. It's just stuff like that. It's a nightmare to think about if you're the Spurs.
Yeah, it's good. I wonder, do you think the Spurs need to pivot from their strategy of sticking Wemby on him so he can roam and try to actually guard
they haven't
or
really
are they sticking to their guns?
They haven't really tried to move off of that.
Yeah.
Which is
it feels like they're just playing the numbers, which I get. You got to stick to your strategies.
Yeah, I get it. I would have moved off of it after 2 or 3 games. The fact that
maybe game 4.
Yeah, the fact that it still looks like that's what they're doing. I would move off from that.
He clearly can make the open 3.
He can make the open 3, and you're giving up to. He can even he's being judicious about when he takes it too, which is also
makes it even harder.
Makes it even harder because you're passing up you're passing up the shots that you would have missed in addition to making the shots that you're making. Mm-hmm. So when you pair that good decision making for the guy that you're trying to put as the weak point, the stress of the offense, he's been not at all that. They need to figure something else out.
Definitely. Any more thoughts?
No, that's all for me.
Where do you think this is going? I know it's weird to predict 2 games, it's the NBA.
Yeah.
What happens in 1 game.
Yeah.
But
I think that it'll be Thunder in 7. is my prediction.
Yeah.
I think that attrition gets to the Spurs. I think that we saw the first signs of it in the last game. And I think that it's going to be a dogfight in Game 6. I don't think the Spurs have the legs for this. I don't. I think that the Thunder have too many threats. They're the better team. And I know, like, Wemby has to play better, obviously. We haven't talked about his Game 6. It was Game 5, which was not good enough. It wasn't terrible, but it was not good enough.
Especially on offense. Yeah. He was not aggressive enough.
It wasn't aggressive. Wasn't really, like, the focal point at all. And they need to get him involved. So, you never count the Spurs out. And look, the Spurs got weapons. What if, like, Champagne can have a good game? What if Castle starts hitting those threes?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But the Thunder are just the better team right now, in my opinion.
I think you said it, where too many things almost need to go right for the Spurs to win.
Yeah.
Versus the Thunder, like, if they just get, like, let's say a Caruso and McCain game, whereas next they could get a Wallace and Jalen Williams game, a Chet game, and a Kenrich Williams game. You know what I mean? They just have too many buttons to press. Mm-hmm. And I think the most important point that we've made this entire podcast was probably your first one, which was that the point about rest. I was like, I forgot the point. The point about rest, that the Thunder have had more of it, and that matters more and more as you get to Game 6 and 7, which we still need to highlight, that they're missing two of what most of us would call two of their four best players, you know? So...
that's again where you need to, again, credit Coach Daigneault for sticking to his guns.
Seriously.
He easily could have panicked and been like, well, this was the plan, and then I lost two of my three best creators, and now it's just Shea and a bunch of guys. I need to tighten the rotation. No, he stuck to his guns.
Yeah.
And he knows their identity, and it's in the defensive side, it's forcing turnovers, and the offense comes where it comes.
Yep, and their depth.
Mm-hmm.
Which allows them to do that.
Which allows them to do that. So
it does make it difficult sometimes. Like, I've struggled knowing where to assign credit between Daigneault and the roster, because their roster is so good. And for like years, I've been like, Daigneault, sure, but like you could put Joe Schmo in there and Shea could coach himself. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I do think that it's been enjoyable for me to watch this playoff series in particular, because I think that he's shown more of his class and more of his stuff. And that maybe he's a coach who is like closer to the level of this roster than maybe I previously thought.
Yeah. No, you're right. It's always a tough thing but I think that he's learned from experience too.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like the Daigneault of this year is not the Daigneault of last year.
That's true.
I feel like he's been learning, and so it makes it scarier.
Yeah. Great. All right.
We're excited to see what happens next.
So excited.
Yeah.
Hopefully we get Game 7.
Yeah.